how to explain this. Fourth in a row in a year. 7 soldiers already died in a previous accident. This one happened again. 10 missing already. Do not know where they were. So, what is going on here?
Well, my father, who was an old Navy member, used to always drill with us that there are policies, procedures, and protocols that have to be followed to have a successful Navy. And it seems to me that somewhere in the command system, somebody's not following either a policy, a procedure, or certainly a protocol as it relates to navigation and other seamanship skills. So I think there's going to be, I think, a much broader review needed of U.S. operations in that region.
Yeah. And
how that operates is going to be, I think, due for some changes.
Mr. Pruitt, if I could follow up by asking you, some of the senior officials from the USS Fitzgerald have already been punished, so-called being removed from the post. Do you think that would deter future accidents? Unfortunately, another accident happened just as the news was being announced.
Well, no. I think there are clearly some systemic issues at play here that go, again, into either an understanding or the practice of naval procedures, policies, and protocols. And I think until that is weeded out and we either get some new policies in place, we're still going to be subject to human error being displayed in these kind of collisions.
Mr. Yang here in Beijing, 7th Fleet, that is the one responsible for this part of the world according to the U.S. Navy. What do you make of the series of incidents and accidents? And how does China look at that?
For the latest accident, no detailed information or conclusion come out, but less than 1 year, there have been 4 such accidents really reflected 2 points of the 7th Fleet. Number one, they are really poor at management and disciplines, especially in the case of the last accident nearby Japan. But although the 4 accidents has different reasons, but the poor disciplines and the management in the U.S. Navy is obvious. And secondly, for the neighboring countries in this region, more and more people ask this question. In such a very, very busy sea lanes, does U.S. Navy has been too frequent in this area? So if we cannot solve this question, I'm afraid that such a sad accident cannot be prevented from happening again.
Mr. Pruitt, that's a good question, isn't it? The U.S. Navy claims to protect the security of its allies by so-called freedom of navigation in the region, but actually it is doing exactly the opposite, at least according to these 4 incidents. So, Mr. Pruitt, do you think that there is a legitimate reason continuously for the Navy to be there? What do you think will be some of the soul searching? Is it only with the discipline, or actually there's something with the strategy?
Well, I think as the nation with the largest Navy in the world, we in the U.S. are certainly going to have a presence there in that region. I think there are also significant other tensions at play, such as with what is happening between the U.S., South Korea, and North Korea, and how that's playing out with China that will come into play. Losing this one ship has some minor impact, as you could imagine, on the balance of power in that region now, and that may well play into some of our future discussions with the North Koreans about their missile testing as well. So they'll be there, we'll be there, and I suspect that soul searching will go forward. But again, until we get some discipline and some serious review of the policies, procedures, and protocols, we're going to continue to operate until we figure it out.
Mr. Yang, how would China respond to that? China, of course, has always been questioning the U.S. purpose. Meanwhile, China has been in some discussion with neighboring countries in the South China Sea about its various issues. What do you think, how China is going to take that? And meanwhile, if there were any conflict or collision between China and the United States, that's going to be mind-boggling.
Yeah, I have been thinking of this way. If this accident happened between a U.S. warship and a Chinese registered vessel, the political disputes will be quite different from the case now. So that really raises the question to China, say, in these neighboring sea areas, how to, number one, increase U.S.-China mutual confidence, especially in the very crowded South China Sea. And number two, should the U.S. unlimited increase their so-called presence or navigation on behalf of freedom of passages? Mm-hmm. And the fact is like the simple, say, the space is limited, the sea lanes is limited, and the economic activities by sea transportation is unlimited. Given such a fact, should the military-related activities in this crowded area should be also unlimited by all the powers related, including China and the United States?